Hello everybody, welcome back to My Big Sister Podcast. My name is Grace and this is my big sister Josie.
Hello everyone, in today's episode we thought we would just do some Q&As. We've got quite a lot of questions.
Have a little catch up.
Have a catch up and just, have a chat basically.
Yeah, so let's see what questions you guys sent in. Make sure you're following the podcast Instagram at My Big Sister Podcast if you do want to be involved in future Q&As or just to send in your dilemmas. We also have an email address, mybigsisterpodcast@gmail.com. So we're going to be looking through that as well. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a really good week and let's have a look at the questions. Okay, the first question we got was, what's your secret on being confident? I feel like this is a hard question. I feel like definitely throughout my teenage years, I definitely struggled with confidence, but I feel like I've definitely learned now how to be confident. And the main thing that I would say is just fake it till you make it. I feel like that's the best hack I learned. I feel like I heard it like on a YouTube video back in my teenage years, and it literally is so true because no one else around you knows whether your confidence is real or not. So even if you're like internally screaming on the inside and so anxious and worried about walking in a room of people or, you know, doing a talk in front of your classroom or just anything like that, as long as you kind of learn what a confident person would act like in that situation, you can kind of come across confident. And even though you might be screaming on the inside, you're going to come across confident and no one's going to know whether it's real or not. And then I feel like the more you practice that, it kind of turns into reality and it's kind of like manifesting the fact that you feel confident in that situation, that you feel calm. And eventually you will just end up being confident. At least that's what's kind of worked for me. Obviously, I'm not confident all the time and I am still quite like an introverted person. But I feel like in situations where I know I have to act confident and like, you know, put myself out there, that's the kind of mentality I use to like help me with that sort of thing.
I think the thing that helped me, and it definitely, I think I've spoken about this before, when I first moved to London, I realised it the most, is basically no one else really cares about what's going on with you.
Yeah, honestly.
They're thinking about what's happening in their own heads.
You're not the main character in everyone's lives.
And no one really cares. So just go around and do whatever you want. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter. And also, I think just kind of not worrying about yourself so much, almost just, you know, thinking about other people and thinking like, you know, how are they doing? Like connecting with them, asking them questions about their own lives, their own issues or whatever, like just trying to, I guess, be less self-centered and more just like not thinking about your own issues
like,
so much.
Honestly, when I think like every presentation in school or any time I've ever gone to like a talk with loads of people, I literally can't even think of one time where someone like messed up and it was embarrassing or like anything like that. And I'm sure it has happened, but I literally can't remember it because like you're just not paying attention to what other people are doing most of the time.
And anything that you do today, no one is going to remember in like a week from now, or like unless you like fall down the stairs or something.
But even then, like I feel like, you know, in a year, like no one's gonna remember, like even like just anything. I feel like I only remember things when I had to do a talk and like you're so, you know, focused on what's going on in your own head that you are not going to really notice anything else, especially when you're in school and like when you're like taking turns to do presentations. I remember you'd spend the whole time worrying about your own. You weren't really paying attention to other people's presentations and what they were doing. You were just worrying about your own.
I think also part of it for me has just been getting older. Like,
it definitely helps.
But as soon as I turn 30, I just stop caring.
When your frontal lobe develops.
Honestly, I don't know what it is about now that I'm in my 30s. I'm just like, literally, I don't care. I don't feel cringe about anything. I just do whatever I want and I just don't really care.
Excuse me, you do sometimes feel cringe about the TikToks I make you film.
Okay.
Sometimes I try to make Josie film TikToks for the podcast, TikTok and Instagram, and she does not cooperate very well.
I guess, I mean, cringe things I'm not being forced to do by Grace.
Yeah, like your personal life in terms of TikToks.
Cringe things that I actually want to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I would just say the main tip I have is just kind of fake it till you make it and just think like in your head, what would a confident person do in this situation and try and like act like who that person is and what they would be doing, and it always helps, and then you come across confident to other people.
I think one other tip is to kind of build self-confidence around things that aren't to do with your looks. So, you know, if you think if you're good at something or you have a talent, you know, work on that, build on that, or even just like learning things you're interested in, or like, I don't know, just like digging into your weird interests. I feel like building confidence in specific areas like that can be really good as well. Like, I don't know, if you're into like history, just like randomly, I know it's a bit weird.
There's a boy in my school who was obsessed with flags, and we always, you know, go to him for flag knowledge. And people do say like your looks are the least interesting thing about you. So yeah, focusing on things that aren't your looks.
Guy, who's that train spotter guy?
Oh yeah, Francis Borgia.
Yeah, remember him? Yeah. He's now like a model.
Yeah.
So
and just because he loved trains.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Okay, someone said, how long did it take you to grow your social media accounts? I feel like we're both going to have different answers to that. Yeah. For me personally, it did take like years, but then I feel like once you start getting a few followers, it's kind of like a snowball effect for most people where like, you know, it kind of doubles quicker than it does at the start. But I think for me, if I'm remembering right, I think after like a year of trying on social media, I got 10,000 followers. And then the year after, I think I had 50,000. And then the year after, I had 100,000. And then it kind of just doubled every year after then. And now it's kind of steadied out to like, yeah, I've had the same followers for like a year or so. But yeah, that's kind of how my social media grew. But obviously it's so different for every single person and every like creator's journey. Some people will blow up. Like I've seen creators recently like blow up on TikTok and get 1 million followers in like a month from nothing. So it really just depends on your content.
I do feel like it's harder nowadays though.
Yeah, because like, there's a lot more accounts out there to compete with.
And there was like a golden era, I swear, in like 2020 because everyone was online and everyone was at home. There was nothing else to do.
It's the same way in YouTube.
A
like
big boom.
Yeah, in like 2013, YouTube was like, it was really easy to grow on YouTube, and then it was the same again for TikTok in 2020.
And on Instagram when Reels first came out, I feel like it was really easy
that's when I grew
then.
a lot of my account.
But now I feel like it's a lot harder.
It is a lot harder, but I think there is still opportunity, and also there's like new apps always coming and new features, and like things like Snapchat I feel like is having a big revival. And I would really recommend, if you are like a smaller creator, I do recommend posting all your content on Snapchat, because if you're already making the videos, you might as well be posting it on every platform.
You should show me how to do this, because
Josie's too old. You know, you were the first person to actually show me Snapchat when I was like 7 years old. You had it when it was called like what was it called? Did you know?
It was called Snapchat.
No, it was called Peekaboo.
Peekaboo?
Yeah, that's the original name of Snapchat.
I don't think I had it when
it was designed
Peekaboo.
for sending like inappropriate pictures, and it was called Peekaboo.
What the hell?
And then you
I
had
didn't
it.
have that.
Well, I don't know. It was when you were at uni in your second year house. I remember coming round and you showed me it.
Yeah, I just got Snapchat, but then I kind of fell off because it.
And you would always draw on it because you're like an arty person. You would always draw like, and do you remember you only had like the bright neon colours that you could pick from, and then like the moment when they made it you could pick any colour, that was like revolutionary. And you would always send me Snapchats when you were like at work in your uni job and stuff like that, I remember. And it's like how I would communicate with you at uni. So you need to get back on Snapchat because you're the original. Yeah, you're the one that made me have Snapchat and know what it was. So.
But then I just sort of stopped using it because I don't know why I stopped using it. But yeah, I don't know.
I feel like my generation, we all still use Snapchat. Like Snapchat is my main form of communication. Like That's weird. It depends who though. Like certain people, like you, obviously I can't Snapchat you, and like my parents, I can't Snapchat them because they don't have Snapchat. But all the people my age, generally, I am Snapchatting them. Like if I need to talk to Ella, I'm Snapchatting her.
So if I just started posting my knitting content on Snapchat, what would happen?
Yeah, you might get some people viewing it, yeah. But I do think Snapchat is like a younger demographic. Yeah. So I don't know if the younger people are into knitting, but I mean, you could get them into knitting.
Yeah.
And I always think when it comes to like social media stuff, if you're already making the videos, you've already put most of the effort in. It takes 10 seconds to post it on every other platform.
True.
So if you are someone that's like out there creating content, be posting it on Instagram Reels, be posting it on TikTok, be posting it on Snapchat, YouTube Shorts, and also Facebook Reels. Because I found out recently you can get paid for Facebook Reels. And Instagram, really? You don't get paid like for views or anything, but you do get paid on Facebook for monetization. So
hang on a minute, all the old people are on Facebook.
Yeah, so you should post the knitting, and you can set it up on your Instagram so that it automatically just posts all your reels on Facebook. It might already be set up because a lot of people it's just set up. It is. You should go check that.
I don't know,
but sometimes the comments on Facebook are really scary. Like my videos, if they go viral on Facebook,
people?
It's mainly like old women being haters who are like, that's not a skirt, that's a belt, and like all stuff like that. But I just think it's quite funny. Whenever I see one of my videos on Facebook blowing up, I'm like, wow, this is just really not the demographic I was aiming for, but good for them.
Rad.
Yeah.
I feel like with my social media, I've been sort of on and off. So, and I've changed the type of content that I do now.
I feel like you do it much more as like a hobby. So you just kind of post as and when you want to.
Yeah.
Whereas definitely for me, it's more like a job.
Fun. And also for me, it's kind of like connecting with a community of people that I don't necessarily like know in real life as much. Although I am trying to grow it in real life, but yeah, there's like a lot of knitters who live in like Germany and Denmark and stuff that I'm not gonna be able to meet. So that's partly why I'm doing it as well. So I think just having some kind of reason why you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're just doing it to kind of become famous and like blow up and be like an influencer, I don't know if that's like a good enough motivation.
Yeah, I think those accounts that are always like, I'm going to help you blow up, use this trending sound, stuff like that. Like, that's never going to come across as genuine if you're just making TikToks that are like a trend. Like, you've got to find like what you're interested in and like the sort of community of people you want to reach and make videos for them rather than just randomly making like videos that you're hoping will go viral.
Yeah, I do feel like those sort of trend videos are kind of falling off popularity a little bit now.
Yeah.
Like you can still use them and like really tailor them towards your own content, but I think in general people are kind of bored of just seeing the same thing over and over again. I think people want to just really like connect with the person behind the account and like get to know them, and like they're only going to follow you if they feel like they're like connected with you.
It's like, do you remember the AI like narrator trend from a few like weeks ago, or maybe it was a few months ago now? Where it was like, hello, this is Grace. And I remember seeing the first video, or at least I think it was the first video of that trend, and it had like, do you remember the holiday Christmas movie where like she keeps waking up and it's like the movie, because she's like a movie trailer editor, Cameron Diaz in that movie, and someone had made a video like as if she was her like waking up and it's that voice, and that's where the trend started. Someone made it based on like the holiday and how that happens in that movie, and then people just ran with it and started just making their own kind of twists on it and stuff. And I loved those videos at first, but then it becomes such a trend. Every single ad on my whole TikTok was that trend. Every single video I was seeing, and I got a bit bored of it by the end.
I swear by like one day I was bored of it.
Yeah, like at first it was like, wow, this is so cool and different, and like everyone's doing these cool editing things, and now if I see one of those videos I just swipe. I just can't be bothered. Like, I'm really sorry to anyone that's made those videos. It was fun at first, but I feel like it gets to a point where a trend's just a bit overdone. I feel like it's when it gets onto Instagram Reels and when it gets onto Facebook and YouTube Shorts, it's like it's a bit old then.
It's a bit soggy.
Yeah.
It's a bit old.
But yeah, I would say my main kind of tip for trying to grow your social media is just kind of posting as much as possible. I think that's definitely what would help me, at least at first. Post like all different things that you're interested in, and then find out which one performs the best, and then kind of tailor your content around that. Like, you might have so many different interests and you're not sure like what direction to go in with your TikTok, and I would say just kind of post about everything and kind of see what sticks and see what works. And I think you, Josie, are someone that has definitely changed what like their niche is. Like, you used to be a very like art painting account, and now you're shifting towards like knitting and stuff like that.
So that was a bit tricky, and I've definitely had a period where I just have been losing followers, like especially on Instagram, because people that followed me initially for art content are now like, if they're not interested in knitting, they're like, why do I care about what this girl is doing? So changing your niche can be a bit tricky. But now what's happening, I've been doing it for long enough, posting the same knitting stuff, is now I'm starting to get the followers back of like, you're getting knitting people.
Yeah,
so
they're being
replaced. New people.
Yeah.
And I had to just be okay with that, because I knew that was going to happen, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't expect people who followed me for art stuff to continue following me for knitting stuff necessarily. So that's fine. But yeah, now it's kind of, I feel like I've stuck with it for long enough that it's starting to grow, like
turn
a new around
community
again. Yeah.
Well, I remember when I first started on TikTok, I think I've told this story on the podcast before when we did a whole social media episode, but I used to be a Gossip Girl fan page on TikTok when I first started in lockdown.
It's very niche.
For like about a year, I was a Gossip Girl fan account, and like I wouldn't do edits specifically. Like, I was in the videos, but I was making like videos about the TV show Gossip Girl. And I remember I had 50,000 followers on TikTok, which at the time was like so insane. I was so like, oh my God, you know, this is crazy. And I remember when I was thinking about how I kind of wanted to stop doing the Gossip Girl content, I was getting a bit bored. I feel like I had made every single video you could possibly ever make about Gossip Girl. And I knew that my interest was always fashion. And like, even my first few TikToks were all fashion videos. And then one of my fashion videos that was about Gossip Girl went viral. And that's why I started being a Gossip Girl account. And so I kind of wanted to go back into the fashion side of things, just more general. And I remember thinking at the time, like, okay, I've got 50,000 followers. Even if half these people unfollow, I've still got 25,000 followers, which is a lot of followers. So like I was kind of okay and kind of made peace with the fact that like even if half these people unfollow, it's probably going to be fine. And then some people did unfollow, some people were annoyed in my comments, but gradually, as you said with your knitting, like more fashion people came in. And obviously now I've got like 600,000 on TikTok, which is a lot more than I did with the Gossip Girl account.
And you have been able to sustain the account because it's something you actually want to keep doing.
Yeah.
You couldn't continue to keep doing a
Gossip
like
Girl
obviously
account for like
I still love 5 years.
Yeah, I love the TV show still, but I just have made every single video.
There's only so much content you can make about it.
Definitely. And like I was much more interested in fashion, and fashion's such a broader subject. You can make videos about all different interests, and then
you're going to be wearing clothes for the rest of your life. So
there's always new things to talk about when it comes to fashion. And then obviously when I started doing the fashion videos, I was obviously showing my body more, and that's when I started talking more about body positivity as well on my socials. So that's kind of the story of how the different niches I kind of went through in my social media journey. And I would say nowadays I also am posting a bit more just kind of general life stuff. Like I do my what I eat in a days, I post like my beauty routines and things like that. So I think trying to be as broad as possible but work out what niches kind of work for your account is always like a good tip. Okay, someone said, what advice would you give for starting your first ever job?
I think it depends what the job is.
I guess I'm thinking like your first ever job is probably going to be when you're like 16 and like working in like a part-time sort of job.
I feel like I can't give very good advice because I was so awkward.
Didn't you get fired from your first ever job? Or are you not allowed to talk about that?
I did get let go because I accidentally sold a spun gun to a kid who was under 18, but I didn't realise that you weren't supposed to do that. It wasn't a real gun. It was just
a potato gun.
Fired potato.
Yeah, it was. You worked in like a joke shop, didn't you? Yeah. And it was like a potato. I remember it was a whole scandal. Well, not a scandal, but within my me growing up, I remember in the family it was like a big thing. I remember it's like one of my first core memories of like the law and like rules is like Josie is in trouble because she sold a potato gun to someone.
The thing is, when you scan the thing, it's supposed to come up on the screen and say like
check their age.
Yeah. And I don't think it did.
So it's kind of their fault.
I don't think it's my fault.
And wasn't it because like the person that bought it, their like parents complained? I think was that.
Well, what happened? Also, why are you letting your kid buy a spud gun? Where are the parents? If this kid isn't old enough to go...
What's the purpose of a spud gun? I'm a bit confused by that still.
You put a potato in it and you press it and it like squirts little pellets of potato.
But is it like a kitchen equipment?
No.
It's just for fun.
It's just for fun.
Okay, well, don't sell,
that's
listen to the rules. That's Josie's advice.
Don't sell spud guns to 12-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean, my first ever job, I remember I was so excited to earn money. Like, I feel like my whole childhood, I think especially because I had older sisters who, you guys obviously had jobs when I was growing up, I was like so excited to finally turn 16 because that's the age you can get a job in England. And I was so excited. I feel like my whole childhood, I was always like doing weird schemes to try and make money.
You were always like emailing companies to get vouchers and things.
Yeah, and I would also email like my family. Like, I remember I like watched this TV show and it was like a science channel and they were showing how you can clean like 2p coins with like Coca-Cola. And I remember I like made this whole poster on like Word and then emailed it to like you and my parents and my other sister. And it was like cleaning coin service. It costs 2p per coin to clean your 2p, but then it cost the amount that the 2p, so you would just give me your 2p, I'd clean it, and then you'd have to pay me with the 2p. So I was basically just scamming people and just ending up with really clean coins at the end. So I would make 2p every time.
Did you actually get any?
Yeah, I remember like you gave me some and mum gave me some. I remember doing it. I can probably find the email on my old email account somewhere. And then also one time I made like an ice cream stand and there's pictures of me with my little cardboard like ice cream thing.
This is why you went on to do a business degree.
Maybe, yeah. Clearly an entrepreneur my whole life. But yeah, I was just very excited to earn money and like I was just always like obsessed with the idea of like I'm gonna save up loads of money and like I think I love spending money. Like whenever I would get like pocket money I would spend it straight away. So I just knew I wanted to get a job so I could start earning my own money.
I used to love going into Topshop and like buying clothes with
do you remember
very tiny amount of money.
Do you remember the edible paper they used to sell in Topshop? like the sweets by the tills. I used to love buying the edible paper with my pocket money. I feel like when I used to go like shopping with you all and I would be bored in Topshop because I was a kid, I wasn't interested in the clothes. I would have like £1 and by the tills they used to have like sweets in Topshop. They used to have like Topshop branded like flying saucers and like cola bottles and stuff. And they used to have this edible paper. I think it was like, it looked like money, but it was like edible paper, and I just found it so cool that you could eat the paper.
Was it like the kind of paper that you used to put on fairy cakes when you were a kid?
It was just like edible. It's kind of a bit thicker than that. It's kind of like spongy texture.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, but I used to love it because I thought it was so cool that you could eat paper, so I used to buy that with my pocket money.
I always had issues because ASOS had just come out at that point, and I suddenly
spend all your money
had
on
like
ASOS.
money on like a card so I could buy things online.
Yeah,
and I would literally spend like months deciding because I'd have to save up because I didn't earn much money at all. And I remember like I think I still have one thing that I bought from that time that I don't really wear anymore. But
I remember the first time I ever got like a debit card or like a, is it called a debit card?
Yeah.
And that was crazy because that's when I first got a debit card, is the year that they came out of contactless in the UK, and I remember it was the most exciting thing ever because I added and then I had Apple Pay. I was like one of the first people to have Apple Pay. I was like 13 years old with Apple Pay on my like first ever iPhone, and I remember like using it in Primark for the first time, and it was like crazy. I was like, wow, I've got Apple Pay.
I feel like we didn't really give advice.
Anyway, yeah, back to the first job. So I was always very excited to have a job, and I remember as soon as I was like almost 16, I started applying to jobs like a few months before my 16th birthday, and I actually went for the job interview for my first job like the week before my 16th birthday. So I was actually 15 years old going to this job interview. I remember I like borrowed mum's clothes and like tried to act like professional, and I went to the job interview, and it was for like a receptionist at a leisure centre, and yeah, I got the job, and she was like, you can start working here as long as you turn 16, and I was like, yeah, I turn 16 next week. And I think it was literally like the day after my 16th birthday. I had my first shift and I was like ready to go.
You were so keen.
Yeah, and then what ended up happening was all my friends who had just also turned 16 were looking for jobs. So then I was like, come work where I work, that'll be fun. And then literally about 10 of my friends all got jobs in the same leisure centre, and we will just hang out all day together and be friends and work together. So it was actually quite good. But it was very scary at first. Like, I feel like when you start a job, it's like you have no idea what you're doing, and you're very much treated like an adult, and like it's a different kind of experience to like being at school. Like, you are treated much more like an adult, and you have much more like freedom. Like, I feel like when you're in school, like you're much more like told, I don't know, there's a lot more rules, whereas when you have a job, it's kind of like, yeah, you can go on your lunch break, whatever, or like, you know, if they're quite a chill company.
I think it depends where you work.
Yeah, it does depend where
I
you
worked
work.
in Sainsbury's and they weren't that nice to me.
Yeah, I think it depends where you work, but yeah, my first job was pretty nice, and like, as I said, all my friends got jobs there, so I was pretty lucky.
Did you work in Sainsbury's as well?
Yeah, I worked in Sainsbury's.
Was that while you worked at the leisure centre?
Yeah, when I was in my gap year, I had 3 different jobs.
Okay.
So I used to work at Sainsbury's in the morning. I used to do 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. shift.
Oh my God.
And then I'd come home, have like breakfast/lunch, and then I'd go work. I used to work at an after school club, so that would be at like 3 p.m. till like 6 p.m. And then on weekends I would work at the leisure centre. So I was like working 24/7 in my gap year. That's when it was locked down, so there wasn't much else to do, to be honest.
Money.
Yeah, I saved up lots of money, and also in lockdown there was parts where some of those jobs were not open, and we got furlough pay, which was great.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
those are the days.
In terms of tips for like your first like corporate job, maybe after like university, or if you've just finished school, I feel like it is a different vibe, like going into like an office job compared to like a part-time job.
I was quite scared and awkward when I went to my first office job. I was like, I don't know why, I really struggled to kind of like make friends or just like relax,
get
and
in with like the culture,
because I think I just didn't. I think I had it in my head that I had to kind of be this like corporate person, but I think like over time I've realized the best thing you can do is be yourself. I mean, obviously you might be a slightly toned down version of yourself. You're not going to be like as crazy as you are with your actual friends outside of work or whatever, but the best thing you can do is like genuinely make connections with people that you work with. And so the best way to do that is just by being yourself, and you don't always have to be talking about work all the time. You can, you know, just asking people like, how was your weekend, how was your day, like what are you up to, like asking them questions about themselves and their lives. Like, I think that's quite important to do. And I think when you first start a job, it can be so scary, but you just have to realize, like, even if these people are older than you, they're still just people and they just want to get to know you.
Yeah, I think, as I said, we were saying about the other question, like, no one's really thinking about you that much. And like, even if you feel like you mess up at work or things like that, yeah, it might matter for a week or two, but like, it doesn't really matter in the reality. And I feel like a lot of these like office jobs where you're working for such a big company, like your little tiny role, you know, if you mess up, it doesn't matter too much. Like, it's not like the end of the world if something goes wrong, especially if it's your first job. Like, the people that are your bosses are going to know you're going to make mistakes, especially if it's your first job.
And I also think I've realized over time is that if you're like halfway decent at your job, you're probably doing better than most people anyway.
Yeah, like, a lot of people don't even work. A
lot of people don't know how to use a computer.
Yeah, so. And I feel like in the era of like working from home, so many people get jobs and just hardly even do much at home. Yeah, so I feel like, if you're half trying, you're probably doing pretty well compared to some people. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say in terms of your first job. This is quite a relevant question. Someone said, how can I improve my podcasting skills and reach more audience? I feel like we're not like that experienced with podcasting, as we've only been doing it, you know, this year. But I feel like we have definitely learned a lot. Like before we started this podcast, I really had no idea like all the work that goes into a podcast. And obviously, because we do this all ourselves, like we don't have a team or like an editor or anything like that. We literally do it all ourselves and film this all like on our own equipment. So I think when we first decided we were going to do a podcast, I kind of just thought like, oh, it's just like a YouTube video, but longer. Like what's the big deal? And then when we first filmed the like pilot episode, I was like, oh, this is a lot. It's a lot more complicated.
The plugging obviously, the microphones into the laptop.
Yeah, you don't have to like cameras. Have all this equipment at first, but I think we wanted to like, you know, have a good go and like make it look good and sound good, because we're the sort of people that like, you know, get annoyed if the sound's not good.
Yeah, people just won't listen if it sounds bad. So I think that is genuinely the most important thing. I think the audio quality is more important than the video quality, to be honest.
And a lot of podcasts don't have video. Like, you don't have to have video at first.
First of all, you don't even have to have video, but we actually record the close-up shots on our phones.
Yeah, so these little clips you're seeing right now is just on our phone, and then we just airdrop it to our MacBook to edit it.
So you don't need like the fanciest.
No, I think the thing to invest in the most would be the microphones, and I will link in the description of this video the mics that we use, but we did pick quite kind of more high-end mics because we knew we wanted to make the sound good.
I already had one,
so like there are cheaper mics, like you can even just get those little clip-on like mics that you can use with your phone if you were just starting out, but I would say, I mean, in terms of stuff that we use to edit and everything, we edit all our podcasts on DaVinci. Yeah. And we have this like plugin called AutoPod, which is like a subscription that you can pay for that helps like edit the multi like camera clips together, which is quite helpful. Yeah. And we film all the audio on GarageBand on our Mac.
But I would say the most important thing is to have something to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
And like, I think that's the thing a lot of people are like, you know, sometimes,
you know, people like, everyone has a podcast these days.
Yeah, like you need to have like a topic and an idea, or at least like a connection with your audience of like something that people are generally interested in who are listening.
Yeah, definitely.
Or some sort of theme or something.
Yeah, I think it's more important about the content really than like having the best lighting or the best cameras, because there are podcasts like, you know, like the Off Menu podcast, they don't even have video, and they've never had video, but they're like one of the most popular podcasts in the UK. So like it's really more to do with like the content and like what you're talking about.
But they have really high quality content, because they get like actual famous people.
They have good people to interview,
and they have a really good format.
Yeah. So also, can I just say, when we are talking about Off Menu, I really have regretted my decisions that I picked for that episode. If you don't know, a few episodes ago we did an Off Menu episode where we said like our dream meal, and when I was editing that back and when I listened to it, I'm like, why did I not like just think before we did this, because there's so much better options. I should have said. I still stand by the dough balls. Yeah. And I do still stand by the Nando's, but in terms of the starter, I definitely would have picked different things. And I think we need to do a part 2. Wagamama's chicken. And I just think there's so many better things I could have chosen, like anything from Tofu Vegan. That's one of my favourite restaurants in London. Why did I not think of that for any of my things? And yeah, there's just so many more things I would have said. So maybe we need to do a part 2, because I really am regretting my choices. And even when I was listening to Off Menu podcast the other day, and just everything they were saying, I'm like, yeah, that's so much better than what I picked. What, like, you know.
Well, that's why you got to do your preparation. I should have
just searched food in my camera roll like you did. I didn't even do that, so I'm very sorry. But I mean, I do stand by my choices and the fact that I like those foods.
Yeah,
but
true.
I think there are better foods I should have picked. for that episode, by the way. If you haven't watched that episode, this means nothing to you guys.
Prepare before you come to a film. That's my tip.
Oh, your podcast, yeah. Because sometimes I just roll out of bed and Josie's at my door and I have to get filming.
And sometimes I have just finished work and I have no idea what's going on and I'm just like, what are we doing? That's kind of what happened today, but it's fine.
A lot of the time, like, because obviously I work by myself from home, most days, I realised this the other day, 2 days in a row, I did not say a word out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
All day until like 6 p.m. when my boyfriend got home from work. So sometimes when we're filming this podcast, I have not spoken physically all day for hours and like literally for like
that's what happens today?
Almost 24 hours. No, I actually did speak today because my boyfriend was working from home. But yeah, a lot of the time I haven't spoken all day and I've just been sat on the sofa all day, like editing, doing stuff. And then Josie gets here and I'm like raring to go. I'm like, woohoo, I get to speak now. I haven't physically spoken a word out of my mouth, you know, for hours and hours, but then you've been working all day on calls and stuff, so you're very tired. So I feel like our energy's never fully matched, because then if we do film on weekends and then you've got energy, alive. I'm asleep and like had to wake up early to set up the cameras and stuff. So yeah, I feel like we're never matching each other's energy really.
But I guess that's the reality of doing a podcast with two people.
Yeah.
Is you're always going to be a bit out of sync.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas you could just do like an Emma Chamberlain style, like
where you just sit and talk,
by yourself.
Definitely.
But you have to have a big personality to be able to do that, and a lot of interesting thoughts.
Yeah, no, I definitely think doing a podcast with someone else is easier, like at first, if you're not really sure what you're doing. Also means you can half the workload in terms of like editing and things like
and
that.
You can kind of bounce ideas off
and
each
also
other
you can half the price of any like equipment you're buying and things like that, which is helpful. But yeah, those are my tips I would say for podcasting. But as I said, we're not really experts, we're just kind of starting out as well. So yeah, but I will try link in the description of the episode any equipment that we do use if that is helpful for you guys. Okay, someone said, what's your best tip on managing uni? I'm in a really hard major and feel overwhelmed often. I think navigating uni is so hard. Like, there's so much change that comes with it. And it's not even just the studying part. It's like the whole your whole life is basically changing, and your whole lifestyle normally. Like if you're moving to a new town, making new friends, living with people you've never lived with before. So I think trying to give yourself some grace and like not be too worried, especially in the UK in first year, the assessments and stuff you do it doesn't actually contribute towards your final grade. And I think just trying to chill and let yourself settle in to just your new life before you start really pressuring yourself and worrying about like the grades that you're getting, because I feel like when I was in uni in first year I tried so hard on all my assessments and I did actually get like first in most of my assessments in first year. But then by the time it was third year, I was so like mentally burnt out from doing all these assessments and like trying to get the best grade, I kind of stopped caring. And then I got I got like 2 1s in third year, and then my overall grade, which is still good. But like if I'd put that amount of effort, if I'd saved that effort to third year, I would have got a better grade, but I'd wasted all my academic effort in first year when it didn't actually count towards anything.
I did the complete opposite of that. I barely went to any lectures in first year and I just went out partying.
See, I think that's the right way to do it, really. Like,
and then when I finally got to final year, I was like, oh my God, I need to like really knuckle down now. And I did have a few gaps in my knowledge, but I just kind of made it up by like Googling the information that I'd missed. So it wasn't really that bad. But I feel like when I got to final year, for me, I was living like quite near the campus. So I would, and luckily I had a car, so I could like drive into the uni, and where I went to uni, it was like a very nice like old school building where the library was.
You could like romanticize your trips to the library.
Yeah, so I was very much romanticizing it. I actually started drinking coffee, which is really weird for me because I don't like coffee.
You were like, I am Rory
But
Gilmore.
I just had to start drinking coffee for like the energy. I would just go have a coffee, and then when you go to somewhere where everyone else is studying, it kind of motivates you to study because you can see everyone else is really like focused.
Yeah.
So I think for me personally, I found studying in like an area where there's lots of other people really helped. But obviously everyone's different. Some people might prefer to just study at home by themselves. So I guess just find what works for you. But yeah, I think like romanticizing it a bit, because even though it's really stressful, it's such a short period of your life, and you're going to look back at it and be like, oh, why didn't I just kind of enjoy that? Well, like, you know, you're just actually learning things, and ideally it's something you want to learn, hopefully, if that's what you've picked for a reason. So kind of just try and remind yourself why you're doing it, and like just embrace it. But I know that can be easier said than done, because you didn't exactly have the easiest time with
No,
that.
I would say what I ended up doing in third year, which I don't know if this is perfect advice, but what I would do, because when we started a new module at uni, we had access to all the content for like the 10 weeks or so of that course, and on the 10th week on our like online thing we could see the assessment, like the essay that we were meant to be doing at the end. So what I found helpful was just going to look at the assessment at the start, and then this is not the best advice because obviously you want like a wide width of knowledge, but like I'll see what the questions are on and then I'll just learn the things that are going to be helpful for that assessment.
Yeah.
Obviously that doesn't apply to like every course, because like in
Yeah,
some
that wouldn't have applied
subjects
for my
you
course.
need to know like a wider range of stuff, but for me and in my uni degree, like you basically just, you know, if the essay was on this certain type of business, this certain theory, why do I need to learn all the other theories when I know this theory is the only one I'm going to be writing the essay on? And I know obviously it's better to have a wider knowledge of everything, and if I had all the time in the world it would be better that I'd learn every single theory, but when it came to like just getting grades and ticking them off, I found it so much easier to work out what I was going to be tested on and then kind of go back from that and learn the things that the test was going to be on at the end, rather than just like aimlessly reading all the textbooks and hoping that something will be in the end result.
Well, I guess I kind of did that because so I did English and we were given like one of my subjects was about novels, and every week we had to read a new novel, and that was just one of the things that we had to do. Like another one, it was like every week we had to read a new Shakespeare play. So if I'd have actually read every single thing I was supposed to be reading, I would be constantly reading all day every day to like finish it. One of the novels was like an 800-page novel. It was so long, and I don't think anyone had actually finished it. So I feel like there are some things where it's like pick and choose what you actually think is going to be really valuable for you and like useful. And like obviously you should be reading all the books that you've been set, but sometimes you don't really need to read every single one like back to back.
But yeah, that's what I would say in terms of uni. We did actually do a whole uni episode in season 1, so if you want to go back and listen to that, we've probably got more tips in there. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, someone said, I feel like this is probably more aimed at you, Josie. Do you have any book recommendations? Well, I feel like this is more aimed at Josie because I don't really read books very often, which is probably bad, but you are an English queen, as you were just saying, so.
I feel like that's such a broad question.
Yeah.
Like, there's just
are there
so
any
many
books you've read recently that are good? Or have you been in your knitting era too much to read?
I've been a little bit off the reading at the moment, but obviously I have a lot
you ever,
of books that I've
been knitting and listened to an audiobook? I feel like that would make sense.
Yeah, I should be doing that, but usually I'm just knitting and watching videos about knitting.
In terms of books that I have actually read recently, I read a lot of celebrity memoirs. That's the main thing I read. I really am not a fiction girl. I love non-fiction, and I really enjoyed Britney Spears' book. The Woman in Me, it's called. It was really interesting to see like her side of things, because I feel like I like was a bit young to really fully like be aware of what was happening with Britney in the early 2000s, because I was like too young and I just heard kind of things that like my parents would say or like you'd see on the TV. So to actually hear like her story and her side of things, it was really interesting. And she suffered obviously a lot with like mental health issues and things like that, and her whole conservativeship with her dad. So it was actually really interesting and inspiring, so I would recommend that. Also, my friend Ro's written a book, so I would recommend that. It's called How to Talk to Yourself, and it's about like how to be kinder to yourself, and that's like a nice non-fiction little read. Have you got any, Josie?
Yeah, so I was just having a look on my phone to remind myself of what I've actually read.
Do you have Goodreads?
Because I just have an issue where like I can't remember things.
Fair.
When someone's like, what have you done? And I'm like, I don't know.
I actually think my short-term memory's gotten worse too. I think it's something to do with TikTok. I think like it's affecting our brains. Seriously, it's a problem anyway.
So Dolly Alderton is always good.
Oh yeah.
She wrote this book called Ghosts, which is about being ghosted.
She's the one that did Everything I Know About Love, right?
Yeah, so that was like a non-fiction about her life growing up in London in her 20s, which is very relatable to me because it kind of reminds me of when I was in London in my 20s. But also she's two books I've read of hers that are really good are Ghosts and also Good Material, which she wrote from the perspective of a man who's just been broken up with, and she kind of tried to get into like the headspace of a male character, which I thought was quite interesting. And then like at the end, well, I won't spoil it, but there's like a bit of a flip, and it's like it's kind of like questioning everything that he was thinking the whole time.
Interesting.
And it's, very interesting. And then if you just want like a silly read, Happy Place by Emily Henry is really good. It's just about a group of friends that go on holiday, and the main character has just broken up with her boyfriend, and she's going on holiday to get away from it or not think about it, but she hasn't told her friends yet. They're on holiday. Guess who turns up?
The
boyfriend. Ex.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I won't spoil it, but yeah.
And some recommendations. Okay, I think that's all the questions we've got time for. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. As I said at the beginning, make sure you're following the podcast on Instagram if you want to be involved in future episodes. Make sure you're also following or subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or YouTube or wherever you're listening, and give us a 5-star review on Spotify, please. We would really appreciate it. And we also love reading your comments. So if you have any thoughts about anything we chatted about today, please let us know. But yeah, I hope you're all having a really good week, and we will see you next Wednesday for another episode. Bye guys!